All right, so welcome back. You're still tuned into Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for staying with us. We want to take a look at today's financial markets, and I'm joined by Head of Treasury at Nedbank Eswatini, Bongani Mabuza. Very good afternoon, Bongani. It's been a while. Welcome back.
Thank you so much, Lulu. Good afternoon to you.
Good
and
afternoon.
Good afternoon to your viewers. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Look forward to our discussion.
All right, so let's start off with international markets. The U.S., a lot is happening. The U.S. elections are coming up, and also the U.S. Federal Reserve is to cut rates by 25 basis points. Take us through the reactions of the markets today.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's a good place to start. There's quite a few things moving markets. In the U.S., it's particularly the elections that are coming up next week. They're causing a lot of volatility in the markets, not just in the U.S. but also globally. I think we'll see as we take a look into what's moving markets. And then, as you mentioned, the rate cut from a Fed perspective, and I think the debate in markets right now is about the size of that cut. And maybe we can just jump straight into it. We'll start with equities if you'll allow. We'll look at the S&P 500, which was up modestly, about 0.2%. This was largely due to it's reporting season in the U.S. With second quarter results coming out from most companies. You had Google reporting earnings, and it was up 5.8% after the close of the market. And this was due to the company reporting larger sales than expected. You had Snap, which also beat estimates. You had Reddit, which also reported very strong earnings. And you had Chipotle, which was down, unfortunately, due to slower earnings growth than expected. But I think the interesting thing about this week from an equities perspective in the US is that you have companies worth a total of approximately $20 trillion US, which are expected to report earnings. So whenever you have such large companies reporting, you expect to see a lot of volatility in equities markets, and that's just driving the story across the board. From a UK perspective, I think the story is the same. What's moving markets is really around the US elections, but there's also growth numbers, UK growth numbers that are expected today, and we expect further volatility as the day progresses. From a JSE perspective, I think it's the same story with the addition of the medium-term budget speech in SA.
Yeah, so we can expect the data to change, that with the upcoming US elections on the 5th.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Right now, there's a lot of noise in the markets due to expectations around the outcome of the U.S. elections, and as well the path that the Fed is going to take going forward. So you expect a bit of normalization perhaps after the elections.
Okay, so let's bring it closer to South Africa, a neighboring country. There's actually the medium-term budget speech that is underway right now in South Africa this afternoon. Take us through that.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think maybe that's a good segue into the FX markets, because you had the rand starting the day at around 17.69. At around midday, we were at around 17.55, as you can see in the market, which was down about 0.5%. The rand was fairly strong against most of the major currencies. It was strong by about 0.5% against the euro, and by almost a full percentage point against the pound. And that's really due to positivity around expectations of the medium-term budget speech. But as you say, the budget speech is now underway, and we've seen quite a bit of volatility in there. Just what's been said so far in the medium-term budget speech is around the finance minister projecting that the SA economy is going to grow by approximately 1.1 percentage points in 2024. And there's a lot of talk of reforms in South Africa. And what they're doing to reform the electricity supply industry in particular, and how they are moving towards a more private sector friendly reforms that are meant to unlock economic growth in the country. So a lot of that is, we'll see how the market digests that information. But we do expect, and we have seen in the past, that there tends to be quite a bit of volatility whenever the finance minister delivers the medium-term budget speech.
Yeah. So the rand can still change after the budget speech, the midterm budget speech.
That is almost a certain.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to commodities, there's still tensions going on in the Middle East. How is that affecting the trade of gold and Brent crude oil?
Yeah. No, that's correct. We saw the price of gold being up almost 0.3%. and we saw the price of oil being up almost 2 percentage points. And I'll just start with gold. Gold was really up. It was up, but we had seen it reach a record level in early trade, especially in Asia. And this is because of fears. Whenever there's fears, gold is seen as a safe haven asset, and investors run to gold. The fears are really around the outcome of the U.S. elections. It may seem like I'm a bit repetitive, but there's a theme around markets and what moves markets across asset classes. So the U.S. elections are quite topical across asset classes. They are influencing the price of those assets. From an oil perspective, that is driven mostly by what's happening in the Middle East, and we have seen oil. It's up almost 2%, but we have seen the price come down in the last 2 days, in particular, as the market realizes that there's an ease in tensions in the Middle East, and it is digesting that information and is receiving that information quite well.
All right. So any data that you can expect this week in the markets?
Yeah, thanks. It's quite a data-heavy week. From an equities perspective, as I mentioned, we have a lot of companies that are reporting second quarter earnings in the U.S. We are looking to see what the outcomes of that is. Some have started reporting, some will continue to report as the week progresses. From an SA perspective, I think the medium-term budget speech is quite indicative. There's also quite a bit of US data that's expected to come out later in the week. So we are mindful of that, and we do expect volatility in markets, and we expect price action, especially as investors take advantage of either high points or low points to either buy or sell.
All right, thanks so much. Thank you, Bongani. That was Head of Treasury at Nedbank Eswatini, Bongani Mabuza, giving us an analysis of today's financial markets. Let's go for an ad break. When you come back, we wrap up the show.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience